I grew up in Florida in trailers and playing sports, and I'm a military guy that's deployed, and it's like you wouldn't think that I would appreciate art in that aspect, and that clicked, and to come back. And my daughters and my son, they're all the same way. They all play sports, multiple sports, but they are all into art now too.
All right, Rob Peters from Children's Art Classes. I'm happy to have you in. Excited to talk about this show that we hosted last week. I think it was a huge success on our end. I love having that many people in the Frame Center.
Yeah.
I hope it was all, it seemed like it must have been successful for you too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us, Dave. Camera here. All right.
Yeah.
All right. But
pull that mic up a little closer too.
Yeah. How's that?
Yep.
That's good. I think it was a success in a lot of different areas. Like I'm happy it was a success for you guys, because I'm super thankful that you let us come in, and let us do this, and to be able to set up all the artwork for the kids that they did, and to see their faces come in. That was the biggest thing, because we've been open for 2 years. And this is the first time we did the art show. So I was a little nervous about it, setting it up. And, your crew here and Dina were awesome and helping walk us through the process. So the fact that it went that smooth, that, all the kids came in, were super pumped, super happy. We had what was about 250 people that came in over the 3 hours, which is a group. And then on top of that, we were raising money for Hope Floats, that nonprofit in Kingston that focuses on bereavement counseling for parents that have lost their kids, or vice versa, or immediate family members, which is something close to my wife and I. And we ended up raising about $1,500 for them through.
That's awesome.
Yeah, through raffles. So
how did the Facebook Live video go after I left as you were about to go live to draw the raffles?
Well, I'm a little biased because I was running it, so I felt like it went great. But by the end of the 30-minute long video, I think we had two viewers. But since then, other people have watched it to see who's won. And as we're filming now, it's Wednesday. I think we did it on Friday, and I still haven't called everybody, but it's on Facebook Live. They know, and there was comments on there, and I reached out to a couple people, but I'm hoping to wrap that up today and tomorrow and have everybody come pick up their prizes, because we had a lot. There was a lot of stuff to include you guys. Yeah,
there was a bunch of benches, and I know that Dina's looking forward to, offering the framing experience to the winner. And I think it was it's a cool show. I love seeing kids art. I think it's very it's very free and loose, and I think seeing like you said, kids being excited about the artwork is such an awesome feeling.
Yeah, and we've got nothing but great feedback too from the parents, and obviously the kids. The kids love it, and they love our teachers, because I'm not an art teacher. I draw stick figures, but they're crooked. I think one time in 9th grade, I did a stick figure comic book, and it was just horrible. But I'm good at operations. I'm good at, I love being involved in community. My wife is awesome with kids. We have 4 ourselves. She's one of 12. And then us stumbling into children's art classes as an art school, basically. It's after program art school. Just being able to use those assets that we have that kind of fills our cup, and then tie it into a real curriculum with real art teachers. Miss Stapes and Miss Russo, who are both local around here, legitimate art teachers, teaching that the kids are actually learning stuff and they're having fun. So to bring them up here and have them see the fruits of their labor on your walls is great. And I know we have that program or the deal where you're giving us discounted prices on framing our artists of the months too. So we hang those on our wall inside, and when the parents, and we don't tell them who got it, they have to look on the wall when they come in at the beginning of every month, and there's just something about their faces and what a frame does to them. Like they see their artwork, there's some right here that's just beautiful, but to see it on a frame or in a frame is like that next level.
It kind of finishes it off. I mean,
for sure.
It kind of It does take it to the next level. It's a little bit, more, I don't know, it feels more permanent, right? Or you're more invested in it once it's framed. But I don't know. 2 years now, though, you've been up there. I think that things are going well.
Yeah, I think so. So we opened in October of 2 years ago. What year are we in right now? 2025? 23, I think. 23 to 24, 24 to 25. Yes. Leading up to that, I was a little bit nervous because we had some construction issues. We're over right next to the toy box across from Hanover Crossing.
Yep.
And that space was taken all the way down to the studs, and we had to build it up, which is fine. But I had some issues with the initial contractor, so everything got pushed off because we wanted to open during the summer and do summer camps. Because, our traditional classes run from October to June, but then we do like the summer camps that kind of get through the summer. And I wanted to do that for some marketing and kind of build up participation and, students. But we opened, construction finished, I think it was like 2 days before our first open house. And regardless of all the marketing that you do, if somebody drives by and your location is under construction, like I know me with my kids, I'm protective. So like, and nowadays I'm not going to give these people my money until I see that they're an established and professional organization. So we opened our doors with 6 students. And I was like, that's where my hair started thinning. It was right around that time. But we stayed confident. We were smart with what we did and how we did it, and I think that word of mouth spread. That we weren't just a drop in and do some art place. We were an actual education center for art, and it was fun and creative for the kids. So I think it was the end of the first month we had like 25, second month up to like 50. And we were sitting at the end of this June at 106 students. And we were up to 120, but at the end of the year, the summer stuff comes up. So, some of the parents reached out and like, hey, can we, that's sure. Just make sure you take this last piece of artwork home with you and finish it up. So that way you have a finished piece. But, so it's doing well. A lot of positive feedback, a lot of Google reviews. If we know anybody here that's students that hasn't done a Google review for us, please do it. 5 stars. Because I do get a bunch of phone calls from people that are just looking for art classes for kids around the area, and they come upon Google, and when they read it and they read the reviews, I mean, that's where we get our referrals from. So
word of mouth, and how do people, what's the curriculum like for like people that want to try it out and take classes? Do you have to commit, or do you let people drop in for?
What I say for this time of year is, because it's the summer, is to actually just had this phone call yesterday with a woman, Amy, and she was talking about 2 lifeguards that work for her that are, I think, 16 and 17, and that they're really into art, and she was trying to point them in the right direction. And so when I talk to anybody, I tell them this time of year, try a summer camp. Because if you do the summer camp, you can see what the studio looks like. You can see what the teachers are like, because it's the same teachers over the summer as it is during the school year. And if you like it, you dig it, then go ahead and enroll for the fall. And then, because if you enroll in the fall, it's just a 30-day cancellation. So even though classes run from October to June, 30-day cancellation, like I'm a real normal. Well, I don't know about a normal person, but I'm a real person. I try to treat people like, the golden rule. So there's nothing too crazy. And then those summer camps, like I said, she was 16 to 17. That's on the higher end of ages. Our oldest student, I think now is 17, because we had an 18-year-old that was a high school student that just graduated, and she's moving on to college. But we go as low as like 3 if they're right, but really 4 is probably the best age for tiny hands. So I talked to her, and they actually signed up for our 5-day summer camp for beginning and advanced drawing in August. So those summer camps go Monday through Friday, from anywhere from an hour and a half or to 3 hours, depending on the camp. And then, so if they try that, they like it, they can go to the school year. If they just want to enroll in the school year, because we limit the class sizes, they can do that. Starts in October, open enrollment now. And then come November, we open up free trials. You get 1 free trial to come in, sit in a class, see if you like it. Teachers give them some skills to assess what level they should be at. And then they can start. But if somebody waits for a free trial in November, I can't promise those spots will be there. So, because the max in classes is 12 students. So we want to make sure that it stays a small classroom, that it can be controlled in the environment so they can actually learn, as opposed to, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a babysitting. It's not a it's not a daycare. It's it's an art class, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's great. We love it because there's different levels. Tiny Hands is really, it says 3 to 4. But those ages are suggestions. And if it's a 3-year-old, they got to be able to hold a pencil. They got to be able to, use scissors. They have to be able to listen in class to an extent. I mean, every 3-year-old is different. Lord knows my oldest 3-year-old was on point when she was that age and could listen and do everything. And then you get my boy on the back end of it, of the 4 kids, and he's at 3-year-olds, he was a maniac. So, but at any rate, those 3 to 5 is probably Tiny Hands, and then that leads into Introduction to Art, and everything kind of builds off those foundations. Tons of different medians, like 40 different medians, and then Introduction to Art, you'd say like 5 to 7-year-olds. It kind of cross levels, like I said, they're suggestions, and then there's Beginning Art, which starts to get a little more formal. But they're still, I mean, we have a kiln, so there's that. There's scratch art, like the People's Choice here, acrylic, ebony pencil, just about anything, and all the materials are right in class. And Beginning Art is the one that every age group, I feel like, at that medium age, can really enjoy, and even some of the older kids that haven't had any background for art whatsoever. When you get to Art 1 is high school level art. So it's definitely gritting, ebony pencil, focus, and they really work off, they actually do it the whole time, but work off the principles of art and design. And so they're talking about value and texture and how to work that into their pieces. Yep. And so Art 1 is really more like a art class. All of them are art class, but this one's a little more intense. So we assess anybody that comes in between the ages of 9 and 12 about where they should be, because we have a handful of 12-year-olds that are actually in the beginning art class. Yep. Because they don't have a background or schooling education for art, and we don't want them to be frustrated. Yeah. So if they go into Art 1 and they don't have a background, but they just kind of like to draw a little bit, but they really want to explore art, Beginning Art is the place to do that, because there's so many different medians, and it's not as, I don't want to say it's difficult, but it doesn't take as much focus, and they can still learn a lot and see if they really love it. And so sometimes we'll have 12-year-olds in Beginning Art, and then
so it's based on talent, skill level, and
because the last thing we want to do, like I talked about a minute ago, is we love the community, we want to enrich children, and make them feel good about themselves, build their confidence, which art does. And the last thing we want to do is throw somebody that's not ready into Art 1 and then them get there and get frustrated and lose that spark and lose that fire. Yeah, if that makes sense.
So all your kids, the teachers doing the assessment, you said Miss Russo and Miss
Stapes.
Yep. And they both are teachers from this area originally, or do they still teach in schools as well, or just?
Yeah, well, Miss Russo she was a long-term sub for a couple of years over at Cedar, I believe.
Okay, here in Hanover.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's working at another place right now because the permanent teacher came back, and with us. Miss Stapes, she lives in Hanover and has been here forever, knows a lot of people, knows the ins and outs of it, legitimately lives here, a couple blocks from the studio. But she retired as an art teacher out of the Boston public school system, and she's been around. She was a director for a time, and she's an artist herself. They're both artists, but she knows it all, and she's a heck of a personality. Her and Miss Russo, Carolyn, are like yin and yang. It's great, and this is what I love too, because they teach different classes, but they work together, and they they prep for all the classes together. But Miss Russo is the real easy, okay, there you go, and Miss Stapes is the, hey, nope, this is the classroom, let's get it. And some, all kids react different to different teaching techniques, so it's nice to have both of them in there and all that experience in a room, especially for somebody that doesn't know art. I know operations, I know running things, I'd like to think I know how to communicate to people and treat people well, but when it comes to art, that's
Yeah,
them.
let them specialize in that. The other night, your wife, your kids were a big part of things as well. The kids are involved in the classes. Your wife do some of the day-to-day stuff over there too, or
Yeah, well, they're involved in the
family
classes.
affair.
Yeah, and I put them to work. So that was another, appealing prospect to children's art classes was that you can have family involved in it. It's something because it's the kids,
Yep.
and I'm creeping up on 25 years in the military, and I've done 4-year-long deployments away from my family, 2 of those with kids, still at home. And so now as I approach retirement, this is the next story or the next chapter of our lives. I missed a lot from the kids. So
Yep.
I want them to be involved if they want to. I don't want to force them to do it, but I wanted something to have that opportunity for them to both be involved, and I can be around, and you can never make up for time, but you can try to do better in the future. And that's where we're at. And then hopefully, because we were talking about opening a second location within the next couple of years, that we can get a couple of these going and it continues to be a family affair, as in, my 2 oldest daughters are both really loving art.
Yep.
And if I can set them up to help them understand how a business works and, how to budget, how to communicate with people, how to run an organization, and then pass that off to them, and then have them run it with the care and the attention that my wife and I give it, that'd be fantastic. So right now they help out with. We do birthday parties, not too often anymore because they got crazy. People were requesting them all the time. Like, hey, this is just like a little side thing to help people.
Yep.
But we do birthday parties on Sundays, and they help with all the birthday parties and painting the example paintings for them. And they're kind of class leaders in their classes. And that's really all of them. My son is 6, about to turn 7. He's in class. Then one daughter is 11. She's in class. She's starting Art 1 next year. And then my 2 oldest are they just finished Art 2, and they are 15 and 16. So
yeah, and you told me that the art was a big part of. There's an interesting story behind how you kind of fell apart. Came into this business, and it seemed like it really hit home with you and your family to get involved in art, and I think people would be interested to hear that story.
I should give the people what they want then, right? Yeah. No. So my last deployment was Afghanistan, and while it was closing down, and Iraq. So I was a operations sergeant major, and when Kabul was closing and I was over there, I was an operations sergeant major for a field artillery unit that was doing air defense. So what their job was is they had these real big guns that looked like R2-D2, and those guns would shoot down rockets or UAVs or whatever around the area, and drones. So as Kabul was going down, I was sent over there and to help manage at a small level. I'm not there's so many people that are way more important than me.
Yeah.
I was just there to assess our small little group. And then we also had 5 sites in Iraq that were doing the same thing. So I did a lot of bouncing around. And while I was doing that, at that time, I was 4 to 5 years away from retirement. And I was like, you know what? I'm getting tired of doing this. It's a 4th time,
Yep.
and I'm missing my family. And so I talked to my wife, and I'm like, we got to figure something out. Like what are we going to do for the next business? And while that was happening, my wife got a call from her art teacher in middle school, and said, hey, she's drawing some questionable stuff. It's a little odd. Things like a little girl in the corner with a bunch of words, depressive or, anxiety type words. So she talked to my wife, and they all got together, and my daughter Haley told them, this is just the way I express myself, and it was through art. It was there, and her grades never dropped. Her, social skills didn't take a hit. She was the same person that she was when I left for the most part. But obviously she matured a little bit more, that age, teenage girls, but it really helped her, and art really helped her. And that was kind of eye-opening for me. I'd always liked seeing art. My wife and I went to Rome one time on a deployment. We met up afterward, met up in another country so I could get a few extra days, and went to Paris and Rome and, Sixtine Chapel and all of that. And I loved looking at it and seeing those things. But I never really considered the effect that it would have on the artists themselves.
Yeah.
And that kind of clicked in my head. So
it's like a therapy for you, for her.
Yeah, and especially considering that, I grew up in Florida in trailers and playing sports, and, I'm a military guy that's deployed, and it's like you wouldn't think that I would appreciate art in that aspect, and that clicked, and to come back. And my daughters and my son, they're all the same way. They all play sports, multiple sports, but they are all into art now too. And she was always into it, this particular kiddo. So when we came back and we started looking for business opportunities, we came across children's art classes. And the founder and the original one was in Florida, and it turned out to be, open 45 minutes from where I lived. And so I just felt like the universe was talking to us between my daughter and, Haley, that had a profound effect on her, because she was like, hey, Dad's gone. This is just how I express myself. And it helped her get through that to, the little things, the founders being real, genuine people that, yes, it's a business and they want to make money, but they want to spread art, across the nation. So
I think art does a lot of great things. And I mean, even the organization that you picked to raise money for the other night, I mean, Hope Floats does a nice job at, incorporating art to, to act as therapy in a sense, right?
Yeah, they. I think I posted some videos on. I think I tagged you guys too. I know it, but we had some short videos to a little less than a minute clips where the director Liz McKenna was talking about, what they do for art for the kids.
Yep.
So, like I mentioned before, it's a bereavement center for immediate family member loss. So parents that lost their kids lost their parents or siblings and whatnot. And they do a lot of focus on the children. And so in there, they take the kids, and she talks about in that video, by the way, Children's Art Classes Hanover on Instagram and Facebook. And if you go to children'sartclasses.com, select a location, Hanover. But those videos are posted on there. And she talks about how, important it is and how kind of, great it is in a sad way that a kid will come in and they will just start painting because they do little paint classes, and we're working with them to start doing some of that stuff at our studio. But they'll go in and they'll start painting, and the teacher will ask them, oh, "What's your favorite color?" Mine's blue. What's what's the loss? What's Jimmy's? What's their person's favorite color? Oh, he would have really liked this. It was it's red, or all these colors, and she talks about how that's an important step for a kid that lost somebody, is to acknowledge it or to talk about it.
Yep.
And I lost both my parents at a real young age, and my wife has lost 2 of her siblings. Well, really 3, but one that she was like super close to, or same age, and that was at a young age too. So for us, we both feel like, we're relatively normal right now, right? But who's normal? But for both of us feel like, and especially me, that if there was a program like this around when I was younger, it could have definitely helped to lessen some of those speed bumps along the way. And so I love seeing that. I love seeing that it's local. They're in the South Shore, and all the stuff that you're doing, multi-generation here, and everybody's touching lives of people that are around them. And it's not just, hey, I see on TV that I'm giving money to somebody that I'll never see, or whatever it is. Like, it will have a direct effect of people that we know, or people that we know that they know. It's cool. I enjoy it, and I enjoy their.
So that's a long time. That's a relationship that you guys will continue.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We helped out. They do a memory walk every year. I think they actually got their next one coming up in August. And so last year, we just donated to their raffle, and we went and did the walk, and started talking with them about thoroughly what their program was. And I had already known about it because I had a close military friend that lost his daughter, and they went through that program. And So we started chatting about what we could do and how we could help. And eventually it came to this art show. So the hope is that every year, if you guys would be so kind, around the same time, we come up here, we do this every year, and every year we get raffles and we pull stuff together and we raise money for Hope Floats.
No, I mean, as someone who also lost a parent at a young age, happy to be involved in that and, help out because, again, I don't know, 40 years ago when you were dealing with that, it was take the kids who have lost a parent, stick them in a room, and let's talk a little bit at school. But there wasn't a lot of therapy or options.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Something like this, I think, is great, and it's a perfect tie-in for what you guys are doing with art, and what we do with art as well. So happy to be involved and help as much as we can.
I definitely appreciate that for sure, because they're a good organization, and I feel like, talking about earlier with the universe telling you things and kind of connecting you, I feel like that's how all of this is happening. It's not, somebody trying to be a car salesman or go out or push things. It's just things are falling into place and they feel natural and they're working as far as helping people. And obviously the business side makes sense. We have students. That's good because I can't do all these things without students and without parents that appreciate us and the effort we put in, and without organizations like you. And I don't want to do this if I can't contribute to organizations like Hope Floats, because coming out of the military, especially at the level I was, you kind of, on the back end of it, it turns into a job and not involved with the community and being able to help people piece. But I always have that. I'm a protective person. Like, I care about people and I want to be involved, and that's what this is. And it's not going to be meaningful to me. It's not going to fill my cup if I can't contribute, positively to the community and to those people around. So that's super important. So I appreciate the support from you guys and everybody that's kind of supported us and sign up so I can keep doing it.
Yeah. No, I feel like there was a lot of support, a lot of happy people, and a lot of people excited to see their kids work. It seems like you have a great network behind you. The family and other people getting involved to help out. It would be crazy if we didn't talk a little bit about what great artwork is up here as well. I think that the piece we have sitting next to us is the People's Choice Awards. There was a number of different awards that you guys gave out. A lot of ribbons all over the place. What were some of those ones?
So we did. What do we have? 106 pieces, I think, that we had up, and then 6 that were framed that were the artists of the month. So something to that effect. But we gave out one best in show, and we had Karen Cass from Hanover.
Yep.
And you guys know her very well, artist, and she's a wonderful human being as well, and she volunteered to be a judge because we didn't want to do
yeah, you want to be unbiased, right?
Yeah, because it's funny because the teachers would they wouldn't give everybody a ribbon because that's the way that it works, but they want to because the kids work so hard. So if we can just be indifferent, that was great. So Karen Cass came, and then we also had Dina as one of the judges from you guys. So thank you for that. And then Doug Smith, he's not an art guy, he's the Goon from the movie The Goon, but he is an absolute sweetheart and a community guy. I mean, he literally gave his kidney to like a childhood friend like a year ago. But he's just a great human being as well. And I felt that it was nice to have somebody in that, he's a hockey guy, sports guy, because I'm sure there was dads that were drugging, at the thing that are like, I love my daughter's art. Oh, cool, hockey. Let me put in for this hockey jersey. But they were the judges, and he took their guidance and then also walked around. It was cool to see him to not really know art, but to be gravitated and what pulled and what was, grabbed his attention.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a nice award too, because you don't have to be an expert on art to love it, or I mean, everybody has an opinion, right? Whether or not it's part of what everybody else agrees with is a different thing, but you can pick art as much as anybody, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. So
and everybody probably has a favorite that walked through the door.
Yeah.
Some of those parents and grandparents, I'm sure it was their
someone
related
kids
to them, but that's worth having on the wall.
Yeah, well, that's what you asked me what my favorite was before we got on here, and I was like, it's all my kids tied, like it's theirs. But at any rate, they did best in show, and we had one that won that. And what was really cool about it, and they didn't know, is that like the parents didn't know. Nobody did. So before we even opened the doors, we went and we did that one, and then we did best in class. And so when the kids came up and they saw it, and the parents, and I remember seeing the dad's face when they walked up on the other side of this wall and saw it, and the dad was like shocked, just as shocked as the rest of them, and mom was crying, off to the side and saying thank you, and it was just a really awesome moment, because they didn't expect it to come. Yeah. So one that was there, and the best in class is we had like this white ribbon. Dang it, that's the second time I did that.
This usually the microphones.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, stay away from that. But we had white ribbons similar to this one, but just with one string, so a little bit smaller, and it was best in class. So the best tiny hands. So we have tiny hands, but we have multiple tiny hands classes throughout the week. So they go once a week, but that's just to help out, so people have more options. And then we had one for the introduction to art, one for the beginning, one for Art 1, and then one for Art 2. So they all got that. And then we had the People's Choice. So when they came up, all those ribbons were on. And we ended up almost making it up, but we didn't make it up. Teacher's Choice, too. I gave each of them 3 ribbons that say smaller ribbons. Yeah. Because you could just see the angst on their face. Like they have some other students that they know put in a lot of work. So we did that. So out of 106 plus pieces, what is that? 5, 6, 7, 14-ish. I totally didn't do that math right, but so not everybody got a ribbon, but everybody that got it, they deserved it. Yeah. And the People's Choice, we had people, we numbered them all. So when people came up here to look at the art before they went downstairs for the raffles and snacks and whatnot, they could put in their numbers. And this is, Jacob Wilson, he's 10. And so he was one of the ones that just had a natural talent in Art 1 and just gone on the Art 2, and that's their scratch art. And I mean, to me, that's unbelievable. And I couldn't, I dang sure couldn't do that. But everybody loved it. And I think, to your point, that people vote for their own family, but this was not the case. He had significantly more votes than everybody else, and there's no way that he brought in over 20 people just himself, because there was a lot. Most of just about everybody had 3 or 4 votes. But this was significantly higher than everybody else. So I know that he earned this and worked on it, and he's a great kid. So
cool. Awesome. I think that like I said, I'm thrilled that we had you guys up here. I'm thrilled you sat down with me, and we get to have a conversation about it. Hope people can they can like you said, they can find children's art classes Hanover. Is that the children's art classes Hanover, and Instagram, Facebook. And then there's an overall website too, and just select the space. Yeah,
that's it. Select Hanover's location, because they do vary slightly, like their schedules. I've actually had people sign up for, a California children's art classes program and then call me and be like, "Hey, listen, nobody's here." It's
you're in the wrong place.
Yeah. That's it. We can work that out though. So
awesome. Well, I think it's obviously thank you for your service. I'm glad to hear you're coming up on retirement, and
me too.
I'm excited to have you be a part of the community, both in Hanover and in the the South Shore Arts world. And we're obviously committed to seeing you succeed, and hopefully working with you to see Hope Float succeed.
Yeah, for sure. For more generations to come.
Yes,
keep it going.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you the same. I really appreciate you having me on, and all the help that you've been putting in for us. So
I mean, it's all part of the community, right? And
for sure.
I think we're both in it for the right reasons.
I agree.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you.